Greetings. This is General CJG here, and wishing you all happy New Year, and hope that this year will be definitely much better than 2020.
Yay, 2020 is over, man.
Yeah, indeed. So, this is General CJG here, back to you with the newest Expanded Universe podcast, and joining me here is none other than.
This is the Spider-Fan Maniac.
Mm-hmm.
For another podcast.
Mm-hmm. Yep. This time we're tackling the second Blood Ties story, which is Star Wars Blood Ties. Boba Fett is dead. Yes, that's the title of it.
Or is he?
Yeah. Well, that's gonna be an obvious. It's an obvious one if you don't read it. But so, yeah. Without further ado, let's begin with this one. So we go with the first issue. Now you want to go with the one, or shall I go first?
Yeah, so I'll do the odd numbers and you'll do the even.
Okay, sure.
Okay, so when we first see the first page, we see Boba Fett being dead, apparently. And then there's a woman and a man talking about, are they sure that Boba Fett is dead? And we see a bunch of stormtroopers and a Rodian and a Zabrak, right?
Mm-hmm.
Seeing that Boba Fett is dead, and this mysterious man seems to be quite happy that Boba Fett is dead. On the other side of the galaxy, Connor Freeman has recently noticed that Boba Fett is also dead, and he seems to be shocked. But his friend, the bartender, seems like, nah, these type of guys always die, so it's not that much of a big deal. And he tries to say a toast to Boba Fett, and nobody in the cantina cares. And then he says, drink is on the house. And then they say to Boba Fett, how simple people are, right?
Yep.
And then we see Zabrak, 3 Zabraks. Oh, wait, no. Zabraks and a hooded man. The hooded man fires a blaster at them. It's kind of,
2 actually.
weird. It's a blue blaster bolt.
Mm-hmm.
Not a red one, but okay. And one of the Zabrak says, do you have any idea who I am? And the hooded man says, I don't care, and kicks him off the building. Ah! That was kind of funny.
That was something.
And the mysterious man talks to a woman called Tay Chang. Tay Chaney. Is that how you say it?
I think, yeah, Tai Chen, yeah.
Yeah, Tay Chen. The mysterious man also arrives in a desert planet called Satamon.
Mm-hmm.
And he is assumed to be Connor Freeman. A bunch of stormtroopers are doing a patrol, and they get attacked by quote-unquote Connor Freeman. And Connor Freeman leaves the planet. And the mysterious man, while having a conversation with Tay Chaney, also discovers Boba Fett's past and tries to destroy everything Boba Fett cared about. Meanwhile, on the other side of the galaxy, Connor Freeman sees news, and he's assumed to be the guy who killed the Zabrak.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, as well as the Stormtrooper.
And a stormtrooper comes to the cantina and drags Connor Freeman out. And when they get to his ship, it explodes, and Connor Freeman is heavily injured, I guess. To be continued.
Mm-hmm. Yep. To be continued. So, this is the first issue. What do you think of it, Owen?
I mean, there's a lot of mystery going on. We don't exactly know what's going on, but the scenes are there to attract your attention. Like, who is this man who once discovered Boba Fett's past, and why is Connor Freeman involved for this scheme of this hooded man? Which is interesting enough.
I guess it is interesting. So though that does bring me a big issue with this comic, but I'll mention it when we get into the end of it, or should I say more in the first? Well, more to the end. Anyway, so issue story-wise, it definitely was interesting. Art style was great. So, and yeah, I thought it was an interesting read. So I don't have much to say there other than Now then, I guess we should go to the next issue because I have much to say on this first one. I'll get more when we get to the next issues. So next, let's go to the next issue. So the next issue, we see Stormtrooper and Dr. Evison treating Connor Freeman, who now has a robotic arm and is in the back of the tank. Dr. Evison, yes, the same one from episode 4. Well, this is a new
one. The guy who got his friend's arm cut off.
Boy, that's definitely something. And Connor basically is like asking the Stormtrooper, "Where are we? Where's Queen?" And the Stormtrooper's trying to calm down. Went to the second arm this week, and then basically, then the Stormtrooper escorts Connor Freeman to somewhere else privately, and turns out it was Boba Fett underneath the Stormtrooper armor. And of course, Boba Fett was the hooded man all along who stole the identity tabs to basically frame Connor Freeman of the incident. And well, and Boba explains how he pretty much survived the encounter. They had the armor all blasted, but in reality, it turns out that the guy that was inside the armor was not Boba Fett. Rather, Boba Fett put the entire armor to one man. He blasted down some hole, and well, it's funny that the people that the Stormtrooper and the Ronians blasted the shit out of the body, but they didn't like. They never noticed that when he was flying, it was like a flying corpse.
Yeah, you look at the body, like, does that look like a actual live person?
No. God, they were the idiots. But yeah, they pretty much...
They're even more stupid than the League of Bounty Hunters, which I thought it was not possible.
Oh, well, I guess this comic series loves to depict those that are idiots. And Boba also tells Connor that Queenie was alive, and that don't worry about the arm and everything. It's just an arm. And Connor's like, oh, that's easy for him to say. He's got 4 of them. and Boba says that it wasn't his intention to use the identity tabs, but now you're dead now. So Connor's gonna have to stay away from trouble. And where is Boba taking him? To Concord Dawn. So
Boba Fett's home planet.
Yep. And then Boba tasks Connor to protect Cinta's Bell. So he does that, and he even gives him an entire bag that has clothes, blasters, enough credits to last you a year. Like that's it. And Boba's like, if you want your life back, you will keep your head down and wait until I get back. Tell no one that I'm alive, especially Cinta's Bell. And then Connor's like, I'll find Bell right after I find the bar, because of course he had to sleep in the bar. Lol. And then Connor's like giving credits to the bartender to find Cinta's Bell, and then we see in a planet called Blackfell that Boba, using his Stormtrooper armor, he pretty much is like blasting the shit out of his out of the ship he's using, and then he's like, "This is Shuttle Fallon requesting emergency landing in Blackfell. The ship's almost done. It was a rebel ambush." And then the shuttle came in so fast that, and somehow Boba got away from it while at the same time directing the shuttle to destroy the control tower. Like, so badass escape while also simultaneously badass, I guess, delivery in a way. So there's that. And then meanwhile on Concord Dawn, Connor arrives to find a little girl, and he asks your Cinta's Bell, and then yes, bounty hunter, and Connor's like, little girl capturing criminals and everything, and then turns out no, the Cinta's Bell is pointing her gun in Connor's face. And well, boy, and that's where the second issue ends. So that's something. What do you think of that one, Dolan?
Yeah, it's interesting that we actually get to see Concord Dawn depicted realistically, and I also do find it kind of weird that if you are a Star Wars fan who reads the expanded universe, you know what Cinta's Bell is, but the comic tries to pretend that people don't know that. I mean, people who read the other EU practices know that she's obviously Boba Fett's wife or ex-wife, I guess. And the comics try to portray this as a mystery, which is kind of weird.
Yeah, indeed. My thoughts on the issue was that my thoughts were that this issue definitely was more interesting, more action packed and everything. Now, in regards to Boba Fett being alive, that was obvious. Like, this comic, as far as I know, takes place before New Hope even happened. So obviously Boba Fett was going to survive this one. So that's actually one of
it's not even a spoiler to say he's alive. I mean, if you actually read Legacy of the Force, the guy's like alive like 40 something years after the Battle of Yavin. So
yeah, but
nobody actually believed he was dead.
Well, yeah. Well, actually, there were some that did, but no. I'm saying this from a reader's perspective that Boba Fett being alive was literally coming miles away, and given that this comic takes place during the original trilogy, it was gonna be obvious that for the reader to Boba Fett to be alive. So yeah, the mystery in the first issue was kind of interesting, but it was spoiled at the same time. So it definitely was not nearly as interesting as the first issues of the first Blood Ties, where definitely the events that were happening there definitely were far more intriguing and interesting. You definitely were more guessing as to what would happen, whereas this one was definitely a predictable one. And well, in the next two issues, I'll get more in detail with this. But yeah, that's basically so far my biggest issue with this, I guess, comic. So yeah. Anyway, so want to get to the next issue, though, one?
Yeah. Okay. After the explosion, Boba Fett tries to leave the scene, but Darth Vader appears and asks what was happening. And Darth Vader's asking a lot of questions that Boba Fett isn't the most qualified to answer. And Boba Fett somehow managed to trick Vader. Okay, that was kind of weird.
Yeah.
On the other side, Conquer Dawn, Sintas is pointing a gun at Connor Freeman, and then a bunch of Deberonians in diverse colors also appears and tries to shoot and kill them. And Connor says basically protect Aelin, but Aelin knows how to deal with these bad guys on her own, which was also interesting. And then there's a lot of action going around, and Aelin kills the Green Deberonian. Yeah. Meanwhile, Boba Fett visits a training center, but the guy who was head of training is like saying, I know what you are, don't try to pull this BS, I know you're not one of us. And then the man tries to form a attack formation, but they're idiots, and Boba Fett shoots the E11 through the grenade and it explodes. Boba Fett, in the confusion, managed to escape, taking one of the officers. And I guess he leaves the planet?
Yes, he did.
Meanwhile, Aelin tries to tell Boba Fett about a story about monsters, and Connor Freeman tells a story about monsters, and basically a summarized plot of the Lost Blood Ties. Mm-hmm. And Aelin is kind of confused. And one of the Imperials managed to know that Boba Fett is still alive.
It's the one that...
And since Connor Freeman reminds Aelin of someone, they kiss each other, and Boba Fett learns who arranged his quote-unquote demise. And the mysterious man learns about the Deberonian attack, the governor. And then he realizes his family is still alive, and Connor Freeman learns that Aiden Bell is Boba Fett's wife.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
What do you think about the comic, man?
This issue, okay. Stakes definitely got higher, which I appreciate. I do think how Boba Fett was being a badass in this issue was excellent. I will say that definitely is a strong point, and it was a strong point of Last Blood Ties, and here it still goes on. Boba Fett is still being a badass. So I don't know how to feel regarding Darth Vader somehow buying Boba Fett's nonsense and not being able to at least read his mind regarding what Boba Fett was thinking. Like,
Yeah, it's kind of weird that he might have suspected, like, wait a second, why is it? I mean, they might still have Jango Fett clones around during this time.
yeah,
Yeah.
they still were during this time. Yes.
Yeah, because if they weren't, it would be kind of suspicious that a Jango Fett sounding stormtrooper is just running around, which would be kind of suspicious, but that won't be the case.
Yeah. So
And the last scene is kind of weird because it acts like it's a huge revelation that Boba Fett is the wife of a Cinta's Bell, but if you read the EU, this is not much of a surprise. I guess it was the surprise from the perspective of Connor Freeman.
yes, it was. It was, which
Kinda
I
weird,
guess I guess it's fine. Because it is definitely from Connor's perspective, but obviously from the reader, it's not really much. It's not really a surprise. So I guess there is that. I want to get into what I think of that when we get to the last issue because there is something I gotta mention regarding that. But for now, let's get to issue 4. So issue
Right.
4. So Connor realizes, and Cinta's like, "What are you doing?" And sorry, I was up, and that man, he's Boba Fett, Alien's father. And Connor was like, "I was afraid you were going to say that." And then she explains what happened. Journeyman protected here for a time. He killed a man, which is what he does, and he was exiled from Concord Dawn. And so Cintas basically said that she and Aileen didn't want to go with Boba because he wasn't good for her and Aileen. So there is that. And well, they're talking, and and then Aileen comes in and says like, "What happened? Her noise." And then she somehow knew that they both of them kissed, and then she says kissing causes space worms. Everyone knows that. Lol. And Connor's like, "What are space worms?" And then and then Aileen's like, "Keep kissing and find out." Like, that's something. And then this sensor beeped twice. Once it beeped, but Cintas and Connor didn't mind. But the second time, that was like, okay, something's going on. And then boom, somebody exploded the door, and turns out it's the motherfucking governor from Concordon, the same one that had pretty much arranged for Boba Fett to die. Yep, the same one. And they're pretty much they're storming in the hideout of Cintas and Eileen, and well, then Boba Fett arrives and he sees the fire. He's definitely gonna go there. And then Tai Chin is ordered by the governor to try to destroy the family, but Tai Chin says no, don't. Revenge can wait a bit. The safe house is still burning, and then lay that order. We'll wait here until it is safe to enter, and then the slave one shows up and it's blasting and it's blasting the governor, Tai Chin, and the guards. And then he's like, "You failed me, Tai Chin. He's supposed to be dead." And she's like, "I can still take him." And then, "You man, with me." And Tai Chin was like left behind. And Boba Fett is getting ready. He jumps off the slave one and is blasting several guards. Tai Chin sees him, and she goes after him. Then the governor and guards go inside the house to look for Cintas and Eileen. And well, Cintas, Elena, and Connor are hidden beneath some sort of trapdoor. And she tells Connor to suit up with the Mandalorian armor. And then Fett is shooting. And then Tai Chin manages to get behind him. And Boba is like telling her, "I know who you are, Tai Chin. Burton, spy master. Uncovered everything about me. Found the only people I care about. And you attacked them. You started me. You know everything about me." And then and she's saying yes. And then Boba's like, "Then tell me honestly, do you seriously think there's any way you can win this fight?" And she's like, "No, none whatsoever. Do you want to die today?" And she's like, "No. The man you work for will be dead by the end of the day. This I promise you. but you are cunning and resourceful. Killing you would be a waste. You're mine now. I own you. You know so much about me, you're charged protecting what you know. Agreed? Great. And Boba Fett pretty much tells her, work for me, but cross me, or try to run and I will find you. And then Boba goes in and searches everywhere, Cintas and Connor definitely got ready. They opened the trapdoor. They pretty much blasted the guards, and Governor's like, shoot them! But the guards on the top were shot by Boba Fett. And the governor is held at gunpoint by Cintas, and the governor's is like, you knew my son, Cintas. He was the only family I had. His name was Lenobar. He was a lawman. He was a protector. And your husband murdered him in cold blood. And Connor's like, I understand wanting to kill Fett, but what twisted part of you decided the only way to make yourself feel better was to kill his family too? And then the governor was like, I wanted him gone along with anything he'd ever loved. You don't understand the hole he left. And Connor was like, and to fill that hole, he went straight to elaborate revenge. And then the governor's like, he killed my beautiful son, and even at trial, he never bothered to give a reason. And Cintas was like, there was a reason. He just never shared it with anyone. After the secret to protect me. And Cintas told him, but the governor was like, you're lying! And Connor shot him. So, yeah.
In the comic, it isn't explained, but yeah, that's a later story.
Okay, so, and then Connor's like, are you okay? Yes. And Cintas kisses Connor, and Boba sees it, and he just walks away. And Eileen's like, you will get space worms. It's just like, it's time for you to go. Oh, and Connor's like, what? No, stay on. No. I said you remind me of someone, and I don't need to be reminded of him ever again. You tell Boba that when you see him. And Connor's walking away, and he's talking to Boba at the end. He's like, sober, the man who tried to kill us is dead. Family safe. And Boba's like, you kissed my wife. And Connor's like, she's not your wife anymore. And Boba's like, no. And then Connor gives Fett something, and Connor says, it's Burton's tooth. I remember you collect the teeth of monsters. I figured he more than qualified. And Boba's like, did you see Eileen? And Connor's like, yes, she's funny. She has our eyes. And Boba's like, yep, she does. And that's the end. So that's the end of this comic. And so what do you think of this, though, one?
I think it was a good end. Mm-hmm. But I find it kind of weird that Connor Freeman's constantly firing blue laser bolts. Kind of weird though. During this era, people usually fire red lasers, don't they? The art choice kind of weird. And those conveniently lying Mandalorian armors. Okay. Yeah, that's that.
Yeah, so my thoughts on this last issue. Let's just say this issue was definitely, I think it was the best one, the most action-packed. Boba Fett at his full badassness, and I loved seeing other people in Mandalorian armor. So that was pretty damn cool. So yeah, this definitely was an interesting one. Now that we got to the fourth issue, so my biggest issue with this comic is that there are times you can feel it's predictable. Compared to the last Blood Ties, this one, I think my biggest issue is that it can be predictable. Like, Boba Fett is dead. Obviously, no, he's not dead. So there's that. Boba Fett getting away alive from this one. Obviously, yes, that's gonna happen. So, and Cintas Bell and Eileen, obviously, yes, because of Legacy of the Force. So,
right.
So yeah, like the first Blood Ties, it had. Like, that one definitely had more unexpected events, and definitely more it was more unexpected. So you couldn't really guess or know what was going to happen. So the story definitely was more unique, definitely unique, but more unpredictable, I should say. Unpredictable is the word. So, and that's the biggest issue with this comic is not really that unpredictable. The story is good, but it's definitely not one that will keep you guessing too much. Like, it's a more straightforward for the funsies and also to expand the lore as well. But
it's kind of weird that they expected the readers to not know about. I mean, it's kind of weird where about Synthesis and Aelin, and would they try to make it a mystery? Like,
I guess I don't
but
know.
if that was the original intention, then it's a poorly done decision because if you read Legacy of the Force, you know that Synthesis Spell is Boba Fett's wife and Aelin is his daughter. I mean, I don't know what's the intention behind this.
No idea. I think they did try
Oh,
to.
well written.
It is well
Yes.
written, yeah. But I do think it's a step down from the first issue because it's not really that unpredictable. It's still good, but I think the first Blood Ties was better. I think the first Blood Ties was better. But this is not a bad one. It's a good read. So there's that. Now we should get to the EU connections of the comic. So okay, first obvious one, major one,
Jango Fett open seasons
Concordon, yes, and
and
Legacy of the
the
Force.
story, the last one standing, the tale of Boba Fett.
Mm-hmm.
Know why?
Why?
Okay, in the story, it shows that journeyman protector Jester Murillo kills his superior officer and gets exiled from Concordon.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now he's called Jester Murillo, but let's be honest, we know who quote-unquote Jester Murillo is.
Okay.
And Legacy of the Force Bloodlines, was it?
The Legacy of the Force, yeah, Bloodlines, Sacrifice, and Revelation are the ones that have the most, that have the Mandalorians, especially Bloodlines and Revelation.
And obviously, this is kind of cheating the original Blood Ties.
Well, obviously, but I consider that more of a that's more of a continuation. So but yeah, obviously, yes. So
And Dark Empire 2
Dark Empire. Explain.
is because Dark Empire 2 references that Boba Fett was an ex-stormtrooper and he killed a superior officer, which we kind of see that here.
Well, okay. Dark Empire said that Boba Fett served as a stormtrooper, but he never really did. So Boba Fett might have propagated that as a rumor. So it could be, but I don't know if maybe it's a reference. I have no idea.
I think it's a reference. I mean, Boba Fett does appear as a stormtrooper, and he does kill a superior Imperial officer. It does fit.
Okay, then yeah, could be. Obviously, one of the places is at Seri once again from the first Blood Ties, which is again a reference from the Black Fleet Crisis. No surprise there. So
And Star Wars Tale 7, outbid but never outgunned. The canonicity of the story is questionable, but it still does reference it.
Yeah, indeed. Now, of course, the planet Iridonia, as we both know, that was first reference in Star Wars, mentioned in Star Wars Episode 1 Journal, Darth Maul. So,
Yeah.
so that too. Concordon, obviously, we already said that was Jango Fett open season, so we don't need to repeat that again. And, actually, Concordon first appeared in The Last One Standing, as you said. That one.
I'm seeing the visual aspects of Conquer Dawn, which we're seeing in Jango Fett open seasons.
Yeah, I see. So Conquer Dawn actually was first mentioned in the Essential Guide to Characters, the first one, the one from the 90s, which is interesting.
Yeah, that was the first time Jester Maria was ever mentioned. I mean, isn't it kind of weird that this comic book never references the name Jester Maria?
I think it's because it didn't need to, but yeah.
I mean, Boba Fett used the name Jester Maria when he was a journeyman protector. And I kind of find it weird it was referencing that story, but Jester Maria was nowhere to be mentioned.
Yeah, indeed. So, also another. This is not necessarily an EU connection, but it's an interesting one. Cornelius Abbasan is here.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, I find that weird that Amazon actually does something to save a person rather than torturing them or doing crazy experiments.
yeah, I think. Well, probably because Boba Fett paid him to actually reconstruct him instead of doing
And
crazy
do
shit.
you know what is weird? Boba Fett actually later kills Amazon.
Yes, indeed. So, That's so ironic. But yes, so that is so I guess that's one. Now in terms of other stuff mentioned, well, there's I don't know if there's any other references because these two comics, they're not referenced whatsoever by the Essential Guides, none whatsoever, because they came out 2000. Boba Fett is Dead in particular, 2012. There was no way it could be referenced in the Essential Atlas or even the Reader's Companion.
Not that the Reader's Companion was interested to talk about the comic books in the first place. It only did in a minimum scale.
Yeah, of course. No surprise there. So yeah. Unfortunately, there's not much that. Wait, what? So apparently, space worms. The ones that apparently kissing you causes space worms. That shit. That actually was first mentioned in the Star Wars role-playing game Living Force campaign guide from Wizards of the Coast. Didn't expect that one, but yeah.
That's weird.
Yeah.
But it is a reference, I guess.
It is a reference, yeah. Mentions, even if it's mentions, they still apply. Yes. Yeah, that's something. And but yeah, not much in this. Just like with the first comic, there's not much here that there's definitely more references compared to the first comic. Like this one definitely has connections to Legacy of the Force. Definitely Jango Fett of Jesus and all the other times reference come from Cordon, at Seri, of course. So at least that's there, but definitely not as many as some other Boba Fett one shots. So yeah. There's not much anymore. You got any others, though? One?
No.
Well, I guess in that case, shall we get on to the conclusion?
Yeah.
Okay, well, you first.
I mean, this comic, like CJ said, has more reference than the other ones, which I like seeing reference in other comics, and I also like that the story focuses more on Boba Fett's family this time. And, well, Boba Fett is still a badass, of course he is. And yeah, I think that's that. Oh yeah, I also did like they brought Connor Freeman back. I thought we're never gonna see him after the first Blood Ties, but he's back, so that's good, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
You, CGG?
My thoughts on this one of the last EU comics before the EU got canonized. So I thought it was a good read. I do think the first Blood Ties is better in terms of unpredictability and letting you keep guessing more so than this one. But this one was a good read. It was not bad. So I did expect it to be, because I knew it was going to be predictable and kind of was, but it was entertaining enough to read. So I do think it's definitely better than some other Boba Fett one shots. Definitely was better than Overkill and better than Salvage. But yeah, and it also showed Boba Fett being more badass and definitely more EU connections, so I appreciate that. So this comic is indeed worth a read. If you already read the first Blood Ties, then yeah, you should read this one if you want to at least see more Connor Freeman. If you want to see more of him in action, as well as see Cintas Bell and Aileen Bell, what they were doing during the original trilogy era. So yeah, so that's what I think of this comic. And I guess this is it for this EU podcast. And, well, guys, we'll see you next time on the next State of Star Wars. It's going to be an interesting one. We're tackling Shadows of the Empire, the book and the comic. Oh, yes. Now, when will this one come out? We'll tell you when. But yes, that's it for now, guys. We'll see you guys on the next State of Star Wars. Bye-bye.
Alright.